everybody, welcome back. Today we are learning about percent composition in compounds by mass. So we are talking about percent composition, and I told you in class that what you're going to be doing is taking the mass of an element in a compound. You're going to divide that by the total compound mass, and then multiplying by 100 to get the percentage by mass for that element. So this is actually a really easy process. It's involved, but it is not very difficult. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take a compound for you. Let's start out with just carbon dioxide and look at this one. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to ask yourself, well, how many carbon atoms are in this compound? And there's 1. And then how many oxygen atoms are in this compound? Well, there's 2. Then you say, well, what's the mass of a carbon atom? And I can look this up on the periodic table. The mass of a carbon atom is 12.01 grams, and the mass of an oxygen atom is 16.00 grams. And you just simply multiply those out. So obviously 1 times 12.01 is giving you that much carbon in this compound. And then you have 32 grams of oxygen in this compound. Now, what's the total compound mass? Well, you add those two up. So we're going to have a total compound mass of 44.01 grams in the entire compound. So what we want to do when we do our percent composition is we now want to look at carbon in particular. So let's say for carbon, if I want to know the percentage, I'm going to take the mass of that carbon, since there was only one of them. We said we had 12.01 grams of carbon, and now I'm going to divide it by the total compound mass, which is 44.01 grams total. I'm going to then multiply that answer by 100, and that is going to be my percentage. So for carbon, this actually comes out to 27.29% carbon by mass. Okay, now if we repeat this process for the oxygen, we're now going to come in, and there are 32 total grams of oxygen in that 44 gram sample for the compound. So we're going to take the 32 grams of oxygen, divide it by the compound mass, multiply that answer by 100, and we're going to get our percent. So for oxygen, you actually get 72.71% by mass. So carbon dioxide, regardless of how much of it you have, should always be 27.29% carbon by mass and 72.71% oxygen by mass. Now we're going to look at one more that just has a few more elements in it. And so we're going to take now C12H22O11, and now we're going to look at obviously having more atoms involved and more elements. So let's start with our carbon. We're going to have 12 carbon atoms here. For hydrogen, we're going to have 22, and for oxygen, we're going to have 11. So now we use the masses from the periodic table. So 12 times the mass of carbon, which is 12.01, 22 times the mass of hydrogen, and then 11 for oxygen times the mass of oxygen. And so those come out to 144.12 grams of carbon, 22.176 grams of hydrogen, and then 176.0 grams of oxygen. If you take and add up all three of those, that's going to give us our total compound mass of 342.3 grams total. So this is just the legwork. Now you want to find your percentages for each of these elements, which means you're going to come in now and use these numbers here and divide each one of those by the total mass and multiply by 100. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. If we want to start with the carbon mass was here. So we're going to take that number and we're going to now multiply that, or I'm sorry, not multiply, we're going to divide it by the compound mass, which is 342.30 total. And then we're going to multiply the answer by 100 to get our percentage. So when you do that, you get a percentage for carbon that is 42.10%. Okay, we're going to repeat for the hydrogen, but now we're going to use the total hydrogen mass, which is here. So we're going to take 22.176, divide it by the compound mass, which is 342.30 total, multiply this answer by 100, and when you punch that into your calculator, you should get 6.48% by hydrogen. Okay, and then the last element that we have to do is the oxygen, which you'll see here. We said earlier that we have 176 grams of oxygen. And so we're going to take that 176 grams of oxygen, divide it by our total compound mass, and then multiply by 100. And when you do that, you get 51.42% oxygen by mass. Okay, so what we can see here is this is the whole problem worked out now. So we started up here, we found our mass of each individual element by taking how many atoms we had and multiplying by their mass from the periodic table. And then we took these masses, and right here we came in and divided them by the total compound mass and multiplied by 100 to get each one's percent. Now what you notice about the percentages is that when you do come in and you combine these percentages, they should total 100. Hey Madness Maniacs, thanks for watching today. Be sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and that you go back and catch up on any other tutorials that you need, like this dimensional analysis video. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.